All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Dangers and Dragons podcast. Are you ready to dive into a world of heroes and monsters and magic and those epic quests that just keep you on the edge of your seat? That's what we do here. We bring those timeless stories to life. And of course, to guide us through these fantastical realms, we have our very own lore master, Julia, with us today.
Hey everyone! So excited to be back, ready to delve into some more of those absolutely captivating tales.
Before we jump into today's adventure, just a quick reminder. If you're loving these explorations, please take a moment to rate and follow the Dangers and Dragons podcast. It really does help us bring you more of these incredible stories. Okay, so today we've got something a little different for you. We're calling it The Reversing, based on this salvaged piece of writing we stumbled across. And it might not be your typical Dragons and Dungeons tale, but it's got that same sense of wonder, that what if that makes these stories so captivating. So here's the basic premise of The Reversing. We've got this lone survivor who decides to activate a machine designed to reverse an apocalypse. But instead of restoring the world as he expected, he finds himself in a completely different kind of post-apocalyptic landscape. It's a world where nature has actually bounced back, and it holds some pretty unsettling truths about humanity's role in its own destruction. So think of this as the opening scene of a movie unfolding right here, and we're going to explore it together, piece by piece. All right, so let's start with this opening scene. We have our lone survivor stuck in a bunker. Not exactly your typical hero, right? More like, well, the last ember of a dying fire. And he's down there because his grandfather, who the writings describe as this brilliant nutter, foresaw some kind of societal collapse. And it wasn't aliens or zombies, but something we did to ourselves. A messy orgy of greed, fear, and one too many nukes is how it's put.
It's interesting, isn't it? This figure of the grandfather. We see this archetype popping up time and again in myths and legends. These almost prophetic characters who are dismissed as crazy, but then their warnings turn out to be true.
Yeah.
And I think it really taps into this deep-seated human anxiety about the future and this almost paradoxical respect for those who seem to see the danger coming, even if they're considered a bit eccentric. Why do you think that kind of character resonates so strongly with us? Is it a way of confronting our own fears about what might happen?
Yeah, maybe it is like a way of saying, see, someone knew it all along. Or maybe it's like a warning to pay attention to the people who think differently. Anyway, so this bunker, designed as a safe haven, ends up feeling more like a musty tomb. Kind of ironic, right?
Yeah.
It's meant to protect him, but it's actually this constant reminder of everything that's been lost.
Yeah.
And the survivor himself, he's described as an echo, a stubborn flicker, carrying this weight of trying to fix what might be unfixable.
That reminds me of those classic reluctant heroes we often see in adventure stories, like Bilbo Baggins or Luke Skywalker. They're not exactly volunteering to be heroes, but they get thrust into these extraordinary situations. And here, the adventurer isn't battling some monstrous creature, but taking on this monumental task of possibly bringing back a lost world.
Right.
The stakes are huge, but it's almost like he's there by accident, this accidental hero.
Totally. And the machine itself, it's not some sleek, futuristic device. It's described as this cobbled mess of salvaged tech and desperate theories. And it really highlights this feeling of desperation, this almost frantic hope to try anything, even if it sounds crazy. I mean, messing with time, that's pretty ambitious for a machine held together with duct tape and hope.
It makes you wonder, what kind of hope exists in a post-apocalyptic world? Is it this pragmatic, step-by-step kind of hope, or is it this almost irrational, defiant kind of hope, this refusal to give up, even when the odds are stacked against you? I mean, the image of this cobbled-together machine really leans toward the latter, doesn't it? This idea that no matter what, humans will find a way to fix things, even if they have to use whatever scraps they can find.
Exactly. So then comes the moment of activation. And it's not some massive explosion or anything dramatic. It's described as a ripple, this subtle shift. The world shuddered, colors bleeding at the edges, which I thought was such a cool way to describe a fundamental change in reality. And then green. Not the sickly green of radiation, but this vibrant, defiant life.
What really struck me was the immediate sensory detail, the smell of ozone and damp earth, the sound of bird song. These are sensations that the survivor had probably forgotten in that stale, enclosed bunker. It just underscores nature's incredible resilience, that power to reclaim even the most damaged places.
Yeah, absolutely. And the ruins he encounters aren't the utter devastation you might expect. They're covered in ivy, being reclaimed by the earth. There's no sign of some massive, violent end. Just this quiet, patient process of time and nature taking over what was once ours. It's It's a very different picture of an apocalypse than we usually see.
It makes you think about how we tend to imagine the end of the world, right? It's often this big, fiery, dramatic event. But this narrative suggests a quieter, perhaps more profound ending where humanity just fades away and nature simply moves back in without a fight. The absence of those violent scars is almost more unsettling, isn't it?
Absolutely. It makes you wonder if it was more of a gradual decline than a sudden crash. He even contemplates the possibility of other survivors, distant campfires promising a fragile human spark.
Yeah.
But he doesn't see himself as a pioneer, someone who's going to rebuild civilization. He feels more like a penitent pilgrim in a world that's moved on without us.
That's a really interesting shift in perspective, right? The apocalypse wasn't just an ending, it was a turning point for the planet. Humanity's time as the dominant force is over, and now he's almost an outsider in this new ecosystem. And the idea of being a penitent pilgrim suggests this feeling of responsibility, maybe even guilt for what happened. He's not looking to conquer this new world, but almost to seek forgiveness from it.
Exactly. And then he comes to the cities, those arrogant testaments to human ambition. Now just these ghostly silhouettes against the sky. Cars abandoned, but not in some chaotic pileup, but peacefully. Even the places where we stored our knowledge, the museums and libraries, are slowly being absorbed back into the earth. It's this really poignant image of a lost civilization.
It reminded me of those ancient myths and legends we often talk about, where you find the ruins of civilizations long gone. These silent reminders that even our greatest achievements are temporary. It's that cyclical pattern of rise and fall that seems to be woven into both history and storytelling. And the image of the weeping windows of the libraries, that's a powerful one, isn't it?
It is.
Like they're mourning all the knowledge that's been lost.
Yeah, absolutely. The text says, "We thought the apocalypse was the end. It was merely a reset, an ugly chapter in Earth's grand and different story." It was a pretty humbling thought. He even stumbles across what must have been a battlefield, but there are no skeletons, no gruesome reminders of the fight, just wildflowers growing in the bomb craters.
It really underscores that idea of nature's complete indifference to our human struggles.
Yeah,
The conflicts that seem so monumental to us, they're just fuel for the next cycle of life.
yeah.
It's a perspective that really challenges our human-centric view of the world, doesn't it? Makes you think about what truly matters in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. And there, in a field of wildflowers, he finds the gaping hole of his old bunker, and inside, that enshrined machine. You have to imagine the urge to flip that switch again, to try and undo it all, must be almost overwhelming.
Oh, definitely. It's that classic temptation of the do-over, the second chance that we see in so many myths and legends.
Right.
That deep human desire to go back and fix our mistakes, to rewrite history. But the narrative takes a darker turn here, doesn't it?
It does, because then he sees the carvings. And not on stone tablets or scrolls, but etched into the bark of living trees. And they tell a story not of gods or monsters, but of warnings. Figures in hazmat suits, those mushroom clouds. They knew it was coming, and in their final act, they didn't try to rebuild or reclaim. They chose to become almost like caretakers of the world they were leaving behind.
This is a significant shift in the story. It moves away from being a tale of redemption, fixing a broken world, and becomes more of a cautionary tale. The ancestors weren't just victims of some unforeseen disaster. They understood their role in it, and they made a conscious decision about the future, a future where humanity wasn't necessarily the dominant force anymore.
Huh.
What do you make of that choice? Did they give up, or did they see a different kind of hope?
It definitely doesn't feel like giving up. More like accepting responsibility and choosing a different path for the planet, even if it meant stepping aside. His hand hovers over that activation switch. But now his grandfather's dream of a clean slate feels like a cruel joke. He starts to realize that maybe humanity doesn't deserve a fresh start, not with the ghosts of the old world still clinging to us.
This is a pivotal moment for him, isn't it? He has the power to reset everything, but what he's seeing suggests that the problems that led to the apocalypse might still be there. It raises the question of whether simply turning back time would solve anything without addressing the root causes.
Yeah. In walking away from that machine, it's not portrayed as defeat, but as a different kind of defiance. Those who carved the trees, they learned a harsh lesson. And maybe humanity as a whole is meant to learn it too. The machine isn't hope. It's more like a tombstone for a species that had the power to create and destroy on such a massive scale.
That image of the machine as a tombstone is so powerful because it really highlights that duality of humanity, right? Our capacity for incredible innovation, but also our potential for immense destruction. It signifies the end of that particular chapter of human dominance.
Exactly. And the final realization for the survivor is stark. The world didn't need saving from the apocalypse. It needed saving from us. His journey takes him away from the machine and back into those vibrant, reclaimed ruins. And he's not carrying blueprints to rebuild the old world, but seeds, which I think is really significant. It symbolizes a different kind of future, one based not on human triumph, but on humility and coexistence.
It's such a powerful symbol because it represents a long-term vision, a commitment to nurturing a different kind of legacy. It's a quiet act of hope, not in restoring what was, but in allowing something new to emerge.
So just to recap, we started with our lone survivor down in that bunker, heard about his grandfather's predictions of societal collapse, witnessed the activation of that cobbled-together time machine, and then experienced that sudden shift to this vibrant, post-human world. And that initial glimmer of hope for a fresh start is quickly overshadowed by the mystery of those silent ruins. A world that seems to have healed beautifully in our absence.
And it's through that eerie silence that we really start to confront the legacy of humanity, don't we?
Yeah.
Those surviving structures stand as these stark reminders of our ambition and our knowledge, and they really make you think about what kind of mark we leave on the world.
Exactly. And of course, that cliffhanger with the enshrined machine and the carvings on those living trees, revealing a truth that's much deeper than simple destruction, that humanity was the architect of its own downfall.
The story takes this fascinating turn, shifting from what we thought might be a tale of redemption into a much more profound exploration of human nature and its impact on the planet.
And this brings us to a final thought-provoking question for all of you. Was the apocalypse in the reversing some kind of external event? Or was it the inevitable consequence of humanity's own flaws? And what does it mean for us to imagine a world that not only survived, but flourished after humanity's decline? Thank you so much for joining us for this first part of our exploration into the reversing here on the Dangers and Dragons podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we delve deeper into this captivating and unsettling story. And don't forget to rate and follow the show for more adventures just like this one.